issues and events. The king of the breakfast shows. The MBMA award-winning Best Breakfast Show of the Year. North 2014.
Good morning and welcome to the program Issues and Events on 91.7 Liberty FM. And I'll be starting off this way. The military junta or coup have become totally unacceptable all over the world. Therefore, what is the alternative to democracy? If we agree that there is none, then the question arises, how do we deal with the challenges facing democracy in Nigeria? Some of these challenges range from unfulfilled campaign promises, widespread poverty, as presently experienced by a cross-section of Nigerians, inconclusive elections, and the electorate who are widely perceived as docile. Putting all of this together, one will be right by suggesting that these are some of the pitfalls in the democratic process. Thank you so much for joining us today on the program. And of course, we have Toyin Oloye Alabi in the studio, and not forgetting that Lola, good morning.
Good morning.
And good morning too.
The button has been
okay, so
Toyin still looking very good.
You know, the spillover of the weekend, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. So pitfalls in the democratic process. We've had 17 years of uninterrupted democracy, and we still want to keep the process on, right? Yes, but in keeping this process on, there are issues to look at, and so we do not, fall into some pitfalls that has been identified in this democratic process. How can we sustain this democracy? How can we keep it on? And you've talked about keeping promises, what governments or what authority says it will do for the people. Is it keeping to promises? And of course there's agitation in the land, and these voices are coming over, and disturbing the democratic process. You also have the divide of Nigeria too as an issue. Religion has turned out to be an issue. And so, building up attitude, building up trust, all of these must be there to keep this democratic process on. That's what we're looking at this morning in the program Issues and Events. And to talk with us as our guest in the studio is Sammy Ihejirika. Sammy Ihejirika is a peace building consultant, and we'll be talking with him in the next hour. Sammy, good morning. I'm glad to have you on the program.
Good morning, and good morning to listeners.
So, impressive as it is, though some people will say, at this point, could I be talking about nascent democracy? 17 years on. Could I also be talking about nascent democracy? Some democracies of the world have had theirs for 100 years and going over that, and 200 years of it. We just going 17 years, and Nigerians would hope that this would continue. Generations to come will experience this. The best form of it all is the democracy. Sammy, we're doing this. We're getting it on, and yes, how well have we kept the democratic process on?
Yeah, I think to some extent we were talking about this being a nascent democracy, and some countries have kept their democracy for 200 years or more.
Yeah.
That's good, but at the same time we see a leapfrogging in terms of development, whether democratic development or technical development or technological development or whatever. There's leapfrogging. Right now, I think that people can use the social media the smartphones, the the computers, as well as anybody else around the world. So I mean, there is that crossover, quick crossover, So we don't have to have 200 years, to be able to build our democracy. What this means is that we should be able to pick those things that are very relevant and very helpful to us, and be able to adapt them situate them within our own context, and be able to achieve a better process of democracy. Now, some of the things you mentioned as the pitfalls of democracy, talking about poverty, talking about so many other issues like that, I think are more or less the manifestations of those symptoms of the pitfalls. There are manifestations. These are manifestations of bad governance. Which is the main pitfall. So what makes for bad governance? These are issues that come with poor economic planning. These are issues that arise out of the mistrust that has existed between the peoples of the country over the years, and which nobody has taken a little bit of time to address. There are all kinds of stereotypes, all kinds of suspicions, all kinds of hates, hate conditions on hate issues, a lot of divide between the Muslims, Christians, and so on and so forth. These are some of the issues that need to be tackled, by the process of democracy. So democracy deals with diversity. That's why it's democracy. It deals with diversity of opinions, diversity of cultures, diversity of, whatever, So, as a matter of fact, the success of our democracy will depend on how we're able to manage that diversity and be able to channel all the, resources and all the strengths we have in this diversity for, to benefit the entire country. I think we have a challenge here to be able to do that, yes.
The arrangement of Nigeria, has it helped in this process? I'm talking about the arrangement of how we came to be as a nation, from it to
the issue is there, but if we are moving forward, if we are going to move forward, we don't need to be looking back all the time. Because you spend a lot of time looking
at it. But it's playing on.
It's playing on, but we got to deal with it in some ways that they can achieve it. So look at the United States, for example. They started with civil wars and all that, and today, United States is one of the most diversified, societies in the world, and they're being able to manage it. So there has to be a lot of creativity. There has to be a lot of ingenuity. We can't go on doing the same thing. Things we've done in the past, in the last 50 years, have not worked. So why do we have to keep on repeating them? Why do more of the same? We must find new ways of solving problems, and that is the challenge we have. So we don't want to think out of the box. We are comfortable doing what we have been doing, as long as some people are benefiting, others are not, and nobody's complaining, then it stays the same. So I think that our political scientists, our activists, and all those who should be involved need to come in and bring in ideas. So that's why I think that inclusivity, that is, participation, is very essential. That we must keep open up the doors and keep the room open, for people to come in and participate. If we continue with the winner takes all attitude to our political development, then we cannot achieve anything. Because you exclude all those who should be part of it, and those who should bring in wonderful ideas, that can change things. And of course, they say that solutions are found in the most unlikely places. So you have to give those unlikely places a chance to express themselves, for it to get the kind of result you're looking for.
Leadership in all of this. Leadership,
yes,
creates pathway for all of this, and believing in leadership, and leadership, setting the agenda.
Yes.
Has that leadership given us the agenda to, keep the democratic process on and to sustain it?
Yes. Yes. Good leadership and quality leadership, involves communication. Your ability to communicate with people you are moving on. Your ability to be a member of the team. You're not above the team, as the leader of the team. You're part of the team. So your ability to communicate and galvanize the team to achieve results, I think, is essential. And what is key here is, communication. So we must be able to communicate our ideas and get a feedback. Communication is not a one-way thing; it's a two-way thing. If you don't get a feedback on what you are communicating, then you can't get any good result. You can't assess yourself. You can't evaluate what you are doing to be sure that you are doing the right thing. But when you cut off feedback, if you don't use feedback from the people you lead, then there's no communication, there's no leadership. Anyway, generally we say that a good leader is a good follower, and a good follower can be a good leader. So if you're not a good follower, you don't have the tendencies of a good follower, you cannot be a good leader. So we see that playing out all the time in the society. That those who have ruled so badly don't want to come down from office. They want to sit down there because they know they've hurt so many people along the line. And if they step down, that the people might retaliate or revenge. So the best is to crush them and stay there, instead of, So leadership is a very critical element of this whole thing. And I think Nigeria has not had the luck.
Okay, I was going to go back,
Yes.
just before I come over to my colleagues. 16 years of PDP rule, and one fell swoop, so to say. Nigerians said, we've had enough of it.
Exactly.
I'm talking about the power of electorate in keeping the democratic process on.
Yes.
We've been on with this change regime, so to say.
Yes.
And one of the issues coming out of this regime, so to say, is promises made to the people.
Yes.
Is this
it was a President Yar'Adua who came out sometime to say, listen, I know my election was faulty. He owned up and said my election was faulty, and accepted. That's a leader, is that correct? Yeah. So the last election, yes, people said, but we who participated in the election knew that so many things were wrong with the process. And there is no way Nigeria can have a very viable and throbbing and forward-looking democratic system with that kind of thing we saw. Ballot boxes was nice. The elections were not counted. The cards were not counted. People didn't get voters' cards. You had high figures from war zones and all kinds of anomalies, that happened. But good and fair and good. We let it go, because that is also the spirit of democracy. That when you lose, you take it out and then you keep calm and accept it, so that the process can move forward. But I think we can eliminate all this in the future, by finding a very good way of curtailing paper trails. When I mean paper, ballot boxes, ballot sheets, voter sheets, all kinds of paperwork. Because it's the papers that are doctored. The papers can be reprinted. They can be hijacked, and so on and so forth. So we must find a way to cut off all these, things that are unnecessary, that are causing so much heat for us in the system. If ballot boxes are not moved from point A to B to C to D to D, nobody will hijack them, and nobody can go and print. If it's not paper, nobody can go and print. So I think we need to find a way. People have used electronic systems, and it worked in India. The population, it worked for them. The NBA used it recently, to elect the officers, and they worked very well. So I don't see why we can't give it a try. It might not be 100%. We can even make it solar in case we don't rely on power. We begin now to get those equipments to be solar powered, so that they can work and eliminate all these lingering and ending court cases, distorting the entire electoral process, costing us so much. Do you know how much money we spend on rerunning elections? The country focuses on irrelevancies and things that are not necessary, instead of getting down to the business of governance and service delivery. So we have a big challenge, and I think the leadership and the followership we have to take up their responsibilities, and particularly we, the followers, because unless we call our leaders to order, except we hold them accountable, they will never behave, and somebody has to be punished somewhere to set an example. Let's see an example of clear voting out. A community say, we don't want this nigger anymore. We don't want this guy. We got to vote him out, because we don't want him to go again, because he has not done well. Some people look at their representatives in the house sleeping. Some of them don't even contribute anything throughout the period. So all kinds of challenges. People refuse to talk about the issues of Nigeria. We need to sit down and talk about it. Even in the household, when there's a dispute between a wife and the husband, you've got to sit down and talk about it. Because you know where the shoe hurts, and there's nothing to be afraid of. It's all about negotiations, all about putting your cards on, being sincere about it, and then you can get good results. There are areas we can collaborate. Christians, Muslims, Hausa, Igbo, whatever. There are areas we can collaborate. There are things we can do together. There are things we can achieve. Everybody cannot be a legislator. Everybody cannot be president. Everybody cannot be governor. So we cannot continue to focus on one area of our growth and ignore the other areas, So I think we have a whole lot of challenge, and the electorate has a bigger responsibility in all this than anybody else.
Now, one key element you have touched on here is the process, the electoral process generally.
Yes.
And before the inception of this administration, we never knew, a lot of people, even in the media balance, never knew about a word called, or a cliche called, a phrase called inconclusive elections.
Yes.
But that seems to be the trend as it is right now. Isn't that a disturbing trend, even though it has been made to look as though it's a good thing that some areas elections turn out to be inconclusive?
Yes.
All in the need to do the right thing. So is this a good thing? Does this portend a good thing for our democracy?
No. I heard that we've had about 130 or more inconclusive elections since 2015 elections in Nigeria. Can you believe that? Over 130 inconclusive elections. And the current chairman of the INEC has even predicted that the 2019 election may be inconclusive. He already said that. So, with that warning, I don't know what we should expect. So I think that to some extent, we must insist on introducing not a human physical counting of vote anymore. We must get into this electronic voting because it's going to help make more elections more conclusive. I think so. Because you cannot tell us that the elections are conclusive when people know clearly that the elections were conclusive. And then the courts are not helping us. The judiciary, they're not helping the situation. We all rely on the judiciary that if anything goes wrong, there will be the people, to help correct the anomaly, or, cut it in the middle and make good judgments. But we're seeing what is happening. 2 courts, 1 judgment, 1 case, different judgment, different judgment. Not just once, not twice, several times over. And nobody is addressing this issue. The CGN or whatever they call them, the council, just the judiciary council, are not making any moves on this. Even the parties themselves seem to have lost direction. Because if you take this matter up to the appeal court or take it up to the Supreme Court, the matter will be sorted out more quickly. Why go round and round, wasting the time of Nigerians and making us believe that the democratic system is not working? I think that the people, the actors, the political actors right now are not the right actors to be on the scene. And we got to change the scene anyway so that things can be different.
And so, from the preamble, some people, even as it is right now, 17 years and going, some people still would argue that democracy is not the best way for Nigeria. Probably Nigeria would have evolved and found its own way of leadership. Mm-hmm. Now, what would you have to say to persons like this, who have found democracy rather, difficult to totally accept?
No, but I think that they're misconstruing the meaning of democracy. But they consider that the Nigerian brand of democracy is not working. Not that democracy is the best option for human arrangement. If I have a problem with everybody here, and I don't bring you in to talk about it, how will you solve the problem? You want me to impose my own idea on it? Socialism, communism didn't work. It failed. It fell apart. So people have, over time, come up with their own blends of democracy so that it can suit the environment and work for them. Germany, for example, no one single party can rule. If you win the majority vote, you still have to look for another party, or if I 2 or 3 more other parties, to form a coalition to be able to rule, so that you minimize areas of rancor and disagreements and disenchantments and bring in the ideas of a lot more people than just your own party and those they represent. So I think that every society has good, modify their own. We don't have to copy the American system. It's very expensive.
And that is what we should be doing here.
Yes, what we should be doing. American system is very expensive. It's dependent on capital and technology. And we don't have both things at our fingertips. America has so much money. Coca-Cola alone brings in a whole lot of money into kerosene alone, a lot of money for Rockefeller and for America. So they are jet planes, they have all kinds of monies, that we don't have. We're depending on this oil, and very soon people are going to be killed, slaughtered because of the oil. So I think that such people need to understand that democracy is all about inclusion, all about participation. That's what we are propagating now, that democracy begins at home. Democracy begins at home. If any parent doesn't call his children and wife to discuss issues that affect the family and how to move forward, then they are not practicing democracy. And many people who are dictatorial in their families come out of the public arena and become equally dictatorial because they don't have any inkling of a democratic process in their homes, in their way of life. So you see a situation where people cannot give you what they don't have. So sometimes we expect too much out of our politicians because going back to the home base, most of them don't have what we're expecting them to give. Democracy, I can tell those people, it begins at home. If you don't bring your children and your family into issues of solving their problems, you can't buy a cloth for Lola, for example. I go and bring one kind, except I've discussed with her and I know exactly what she wants. But if I have to buy, I have to ask her what kind of, or I give her the money to buy. So there has to be some conversation about it. And this is democracy in action. So it doesn't have to be only out there.
Well, ethnicity and religion have been one of the problems of our democracy, including most especially poverty.
Yes.
Now, is there any way out of this?
Yes. There's a way. Nigeria is not the only country that is faced with religious difficulties. Ghana has Muslims, they have Christians. Do we hear of any problem? So many countries in Africa have a mix of Muslims. Why is our situation very different? That's what we need to ask ourselves. Even though there is growing disaffection between Muslims and Christians all over the world right now, but why has ours, become, taken to the height at which it is right now? At some point, when these issues were coming up in the early 80s and 90s, we want that de-emphasize this issue of religion. Don't put too much, don't overemphasize it and bring it right to the top, where it will begin to affect governance. Any society that spends so much time and money building worship places instead of factories and industries has no hope. So people need to realize all these things. That we keep on.
That is quite a controversial statement.
I'm serious. I'm serious about it.
Yeah.
Look at it here. Mosques are springing up everywhere. Churches are springing. And we have over 60 million unemployed youth in this country. So if you spend money building churches, building mosques and worship places, and forget to build factories and schools, man, you don't have a future. Because you have salvation, even though it's in heaven, you got to walk towards it. And of course, you have to start right from here to be saved before you get there. Right. So I think we can get over it. But it's all, again, there has to be an orientation, a major social orientation, not what the national orientation is doing. This has to be a thorough orientation beginning with education, all forms of education, informal, formal, non-formal. We've got to rewrite the curriculum, rework everything, go back to parenting, to issues of the family, and begin to deal with it. Because unless we address this issue, confront it, you may not be able to change the perceptions people have right now. And changing perceptions and attitude is a major task. And of course, again, most depend on the leadership and how we, drive the governance process.
Earlier, while you were speaking, you spoke about electronic voting.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, do you think Nigeria is ready to embrace electronic voting, putting into mind our level of education in the country?
Well, of course, many people use cell phones. What is so wonderful about electronic voting? You can press your cell phone and send a message, can't you? And many people can do that. Nigeria has over 142 million cell phones in this country right now. So which means that all those who own cell phones can use them. So electronic voting is not anything different from using your cell phone. In most other countries, people register, do their national registration, do their voting, do or whatever from their cell phone. Even send money from their cell phones. I think it is possible since we're all smartphone friendly, So I think it's possible. It's just for us to organize it and get people to know exactly what to do. And I think it can happen.
Yeah, there has been, this gap between, representatives of the people and the people. So much promises were made to the people, and so they got to where they are today. But as soon as they get to the state of power, they forget it all. And the people, cases presented today shows that the people want to see their reps and they don't get to see them. This happens, state and at national level. This gap, again, how do we bridge the gap, to make the representatives of the people, be there for the people, and that's why suggestions have come in the area of making making it part-time, not making it on basis of allowances for representatives to come and represent. Would this help this democratic process?
Yeah, I think we need to reduce the cost of governance in the first place, because people see being a member of the House, legislature, or whatever, as business. It's a highest paid job in Nigeria right now. And of course, you know that the Nigerian legislators are one of the highest paid in the world. So there's every tendency that people can kill or do whatever they can to get in there. And when they get in there by their might, you don't have any jurisdiction over them. If they paid you to vote for them, if they gave you some, things to vote for them, and you held them, then you can't go back to them and say, hey. But of course, you've taken some of it. And of course, you expect them to also bring money and come and give you. So I think that has to change. The thing is that nobody has been punished. We've not seen one constituency that punished its elected officials. That is, you go and you mess up, you come back, we are not voting for you. If anything we're not like, we're gonna do, we can't vote for you. So I think the power lies on lies with the people. And that's why I said voter education, empowering and civic education, empowering the voter to know his rights and how to use his power to achieve results. Can be, but look at in the US right now, all the people are panicking. Senators are panicking because of the midterm elections. They say if Donald Trump doesn't do what he did, then it's going to affect them. If whatever, they may lose all the seats they have in the Senate. So they're afraid that the people are going to vote them out. So when there is that fear behind, the senators and whoever, that they can be held accountable by their people with their votes, then they might be forced to do something different. But otherwise, it will still be the same.
Issues and events this morning, and we're looking at pitfalls in the democratic process. We'll go for a commercial break now. When we come back, we'll be getting ready to take your calls, get your reaction to some of the things we're talking about this morning. Go for a break now.
Issues and events. The king of the breakfast shows. The MBMA award-winning best breakfast show of the year, North 2014.
Welcome back. The program is Issues and Events this morning, and we're looking at pitfalls in the democratic process. For 70 years, we've had it going, and Nigerians want it to go on. But how well can we sustain the democratic process? We're looking at that this morning with Sammy Ihejirika, a peace-building consultant. Lola.
One of the things that make a democratic nation, so one of the things, there was a time in Nigeria when Nigerians who lived in diaspora were very well respected. As it seems, it's not so. At some point, I did watch a video interviewing Nigerians, how they're suffering out there, and the place where they seem or they wish it was their home, the Nigerian embassy over there, is closed up and they're being treated anyhow. Now, how do you think that is going to affect our democracy in the long run? Or do you even think that it's affecting our democracy?
Well, I think it's not just Nigerians, the Nigerian citizens alone who can rubbish our image abroad. Sometimes the actions of the government and those who represent the government can also be part of this bad image we get. The way we treat our citizens, the way we look after them and care for them overseas is very critical. And it's very obvious that Nigerian embassies and consulates don't take care of Nigerian citizens as well as they should overseas. So I think that the way they respond, to distress, distressed Nigerians, out there, will also determine how those people feel about the country at home. Feel about the governance, feel about democracy, feel about the situation at home. So, but in any case, I think that most Nigerians who have traveled overseas to go and look for greener pastures have misplaced their priorities, because some of them are not qualified. Some of them don't have the prerequisite professional experience, to be useful to themselves out there. You can't go out there and be touting like you're touting Lagos, anywhere else and expect to be properly treated. So you have a lot of miscreants, who are just out there because they want to go out and do something different. If you're not a technician, for example, if you're an electrician, if you're a plumber, you can make money in America because people need your services, and your services are very expensive. But if you don't have any handwork, Something that can give you, you can do for people and they get paid. It's difficult. If you're not a there are Nigerians who are doing so well, big time, in the US. They are respected by the government. Some of them are even paid by the American government to do what they're doing out there. So there are both sides to this, But I think that the opinions of those who are outside and the way they portray us out there is also very important in getting the international community to view us in good light, in terms of what we are doing to build our democracy. But I think the people in diaspora are very critical to all this as well because they bring in a lot of money. Money from the diaspora accounted for quite a huge chunk of our external income, So they are not a group to be toyed around with. And
we still can't get them to vote during elections.
We have not set up that machinery to be able for them to do that. Nigerians serving the different armed forces around the world cannot even vote. Which of course, is what happens elsewhere that Nigerians, wherever you are, can vote. But we'll not be able to do that. Look at the BVM thing. When we were doing the BVM, it was a hell of a tug of war, to get Nigerians who had money here, who are abroad, to do those BVM numbers. So the logistics and the operational style of the country is also starting pretty too late. Look at the Rio Olympics, for example. Our preparation for the Rio Olympics, and even what the minister of sports, came to parade himself as a complete somebody who doesn't have a clear knowledge of what to do and how it is done. And of course, that contributed a lot to our failure. So this is a Nigerian process, and it got to change. And of course, it's the leadership, everything. The buck stops on the desk of the leadership.
I like the idea of leadership, and then let's look at it this way. When you talk about leadership in countries like the United States, you're looking at a Harvard graduate. Mm-hmm. If you go to England, you're talking about those who probably go to Cambridge or the Oxfords.
Yes.
But then when you come back home here, that has been our major problem, the deficiency in leadership.
Yes.
Can we engage a process where we'll have leaders churn out, an identifiable process where we have, where leaders will be produced and developed?
Well, it is possible. You see, the issue that leadership comes through the political process in Nigeria, and the political process is what? It's capital based. It has a lot of money involved. So those who can't afford, to play the game, the money game, are completely ruled out. And of course, you see, the way we select people for our political process is also very funny. I read something, is it Kuka, wrote in the paper some time ago, that our first class students, get recruited to do postgraduate degrees in medicine and engineering, and they're cut away in the ivory tower. They don't get into leadership. Our second class guys try to get into there's a way he classified it. At the end of the day, found out those who rule you are even those who failed in school. Because they determine who gets what, and they have the money with the people on the underground world, underworld, to manipulate the system and put themselves into power. So it's going to be a very difficult thing to have people who don't have the money to be very involved. And most times, those who have the money are not necessarily the best leaders we can ever get. So except we change the process entirely on how we can, get people who are really genuinely interested. And I think the other thing is to make the job less lucrative. If people are going to be working on part-time, no housing for you. When you come into town, you find where you stay and do what you want to do within that period and go home. I think we will be able now to begin to see people who are more genuinely and passionately interested in leadership, to come in. But otherwise, the way it is right now, the doors are closed against them. And I think that it's also part of this whole talk about restructuring. It has to deal with all this because some elements of this part of the constitution need to be reorganized and need to be revisited and changed. Because this constitution was written by the army way back in 1999 to suit them and to perpetuate themselves in office. So it cannot really suffice, for a democratic process like we have right now. So the issue of restructuring, people shouldn't be afraid of it. You shouldn't be afraid of it. We're not going to redraw the map of Nigeria. Nobody's going to go. But we got to redefine our relationships. We got to redefine our political structure. We got to redefine the way we generate income, and get Nigeria on a selling path. But let me also tell you that economic development is not all about the money you have in your pocket. But most times we think it's the amount of money you have in your pocket that determines what your economic development is. Economic development also involves your environment. How conducive is your environment? How good is your environment? How beautiful is it? Is the environment suitable for, conducive for living? So if you have too much money and you're living in a dump, in a refuse dump, it doesn't make sense. You don't have economic development. So economic development means that you have all the prerequisite things in the environment that can make life conducive and enjoyable.
I look at agitation, coming from all over. I mean, these issues, also disturbing the democratic process. Yes. Now, when you look at some of these agitations, the IPOP coming, Niger Delta Avengers, and from wherever they're coming from,
yes.
And then you look at representation from those areas. Why are these issues not being channeled through representatives of the people?
Because they're not listening to the people. They are not interested in the core needs of the people. You see, one thing is to understand the interest, have an interest, and another thing to address the needs of the people. Now, I can tell you that agitations and freedom of speech are all elements, are all characteristics of democracy. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression. You must say what you want to say. You must say what you need. But it's for those who are in charge to listen and process that information. So the challenge here, the problem here is that people are not listening. If we listen, what I mean listen, in the real sense of listening, those problems will not be there. We'll be able to hear what they want to say. We'll be able to negotiate. We'll be able to get a result. But listening requires that you put yourself in the shoes of the person you're listening to. You don't detach yourself completely and say, hey, what did you say? Okay, so he says so. You must feel the pain the person is feeling. You must consider, suppose I'm in this situation, would I accept this condition? So why would I impose it on them if it's not good for me? So these are the elements of listening that brings results. Listening must be empathic. So when you don't listen, people keep on talking. In fact, they might start whispering, first of all. And for the whispering, they start to shout. And from the shouting, they begin to destroy things. Because you have not listened appropriately. You've not heard the cry of the people. You've not listened to what... It doesn't mean that these demands are cast in iron. No. That's what we call the onion, in conflict management. That what you hear people say most of the time is the position they have. If you don't do this, I do this. But why are they saying that? Because there's an interest. And what is behind the interest? Certain needs. At the end of the day, it doesn't go beyond physical infrastructure. It doesn't go beyond good education. It doesn't go beyond light, water, road. It doesn't go beyond that. So, I mean, we need to listen. And listen properly. Because without listening, that gap will be there, we should have problems.
All right, time to come over to our listeners there and give us numbers to take your calls. Lola.
Right, if you want to be a part of the program, you can dial the number 0808-573-0911 or 0902-918-2276. Well, you can go to our Facebook page, you can like it and drop your messages there at Liberty Radio 91.7 FM Kaduna, or follow us on Twitter and also drop your comments at Liberty Radio English.
Taking your calls now. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning. Your name? Okay, lost that call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. And your name?
Good morning. Am I speaking to Liberty Radio?
Yes, your name?
My name is Balarabi.
Okay, Balarabi.
And I would like to welcome you there.
Yeah, thank you.
So far, he has spoken well. So what he made mention of the Constitution being written by the military. Hello?
Yes, we're with you. Go. Let's go.
Okay, he made mention of the Constitution being written by the military. And if that's the case, is he trying to say that the Constitution has been written by only the military? Was there not the contribution of lawyers and some bureaucrats before the system? That's what I want him to expatiate on.
Okay. All right. Okay. Another one. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
This is Sadiq.
Okay, Sadiq.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm greeting to him. We are bothering over the Nigeria state concerning the issue of legacy problem, governance, and so on and so forth. It is the right of Nigerians that pay the price for failure of government in all these ramifications. We look at the lack of governance and development of the country. So we will not want to blame on constitution the way I look at it, because the caliber of the people. If you look at what's happening in APC today, the member of the council APC, they seem to continue to behave the way they used to do in PDP, which to me never happened. Like APC now is a kind of another PDP, so to say, apart from the president. So what we want to call is the people's, to be patriotic, try to live up to expectation when they give promise to stand by the promise, and not to go to the leadership position and begin to turn back away from the people. This is very unfortunate. So it's not the issue of trying to either the structure or here and there or agitation and some other things like people are not patient and are up to do. But sometimes like that, I believe it's just confusion. So it's like lack of putting heads together by the majority of the people who are the electorate. When these people come with money and maggie and clothes and give to us, maybe their uncle and our brother and sister, they try to divide us, and they have this. So what we need to do is to put our own head together and see that we have the right people that can go there and do the right thing to give us the good governance. Not to continue confusions, and at the end of the day, they end up embezzling the money and start money, Nigerian money over here and there, and in here for us to enjoy it.
All right,
to me, it's not a matter of instruction. It's people to live up to expectations.
Okay.
Give the people what you promise them, and that is what we want.
Okay, Sadiq, thank you. Okay, we'll take one more and come back to the guest. Hello, good morning.
Tony Alabi, good morning.
Good morning.
I am Bala on the line.
Okay, Bala.
Our guest, good morning.
Good morning, my dear.
You have said almost everything concerning the government of this country, Nigeria. But what I want to ask, what I want to find out, compare military administration and democracy. We are complaining, particularly for the during the time of military. We have and so prevalent. You can see an Igbo man coming to the governor in Kaduna State there, going to Zamfara. You see your man there. No segregation, no something like religious, something. But coming to the democracy, how are we going to stay? So our politicians, are they right? Are they okay in doing administration when this party is ruling, the other parties are when APC is ruling, PDP enemy APC, and likewise order? How are we going to sort out? How are we going to understand ourselves, the politicians in this country, so that they can move together?
All right.
Or are we going to be one party system that will favor Nigeria? Thank you.
Okay, Bala, and then we'll come back for this.
But Rabe talked about the Constitution. Maybe it doesn't see the need to, whether the Constitution was written just by the military alone, without the input from constitutional lawyers and so on and so forth. Don't forget that the government of the day also sets the agenda, for some of these kind of activities. But in any case, there have been several attempts, to revise or review the Constitution ever since it was written. And most of these attempts have ended up in some kind of failure, one failure or the other. So it is not just me saying it, that the Constitution needs to be reviewed. It's already a process that is in progress. Right now, I think the House is also taking steps, to get some more new ideas into the Constitution and see how we can revise the Constitution to suit our present conditions. So I don't think many people are happy with the Constitution the way it is right now, and they all want it to be revised. So It's an issue that's already on the table, on the front burner, and actions are already being taken to do that. Now, on the question of leadership, we've emphasized this severally. That leadership is a problem. It's been a problem for Nigeria for so long, and we hope that as time goes on, as we transform or transit from one government to another, that we'll be able to find common ground. We'll be able to find the answer, to all this by ensuring that we look at people, we review them and see who, from antecedents, from their contribution to the society, how disposed they could be in terms of making the kind of changes we want in our polity. Now, with the politicians and their behavior, I think that, like I said before, the business is very lucrative, and a lot of people are killing themselves and trying to kill other people to, get their hands on this pie, So I think that we need to talk. Definitely, there's a reason there's need to talk, because even revising the constitution or deciding what kind of party system we should have and all that, it's not something you and I can discuss on radio and it ends there. It requires bringing in ideas from everybody. The people have to have small palavers and let people who will represent them to talk about these issues, because we cannot run away from talking about them. Because unless we sit down and have a conversation as to how we want to proceed and how we want to restructure and how we want to, implement things we have done and how the judiciary should behave and how we want to change the orientation of Nigerians, then it cannot work just simply by talking on the radio or talking in the mosques or in the churches or whatever. So we just need that conference or conversation.
Still taking your calls now. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
I'm Chief Sebastian Ozong from Marabarido.
Okay, Chief Sebastian, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm grateful for the topic that people give. It's a nice one.
Thank you.
So, to move this Nigeria forward, the guest there has said everything. And this is the type of people we want in this Nigeria, so that things will be moving directly. So my suggestion now, which is very important, is I would like people to advise the federal government so that things will move well to at least pay many retired workers. Many of them and their families are dying. For example, night care and other sectors. Many old men have retired since. With their family, they are not getting anything. And that many people. So let them help and pay them so that they will keep on contributing to their family, because many of their children are not going to school. So, and there is hunger in the land, they can help. So that's my immediate contribution this morning.
All right, Chief Sebastian, thank you. All right, all right, thank you. Still taking calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, Usman on the line.
Usman, all right.
Yeah, to start with, I'm impressed with what Allah has just touched on. Talking of doing the military era, we have an Igbo governor or military administrator in Kaduna, Kano, and other areas, but they forget about tribe sentiment and ethnics. They work in that state to send them. Can we now see short a dream again? To come back to Nigeria, I'm an Hausa man, I can be a governor in Anambra, and short things works again. It's fancy me during the days of the military. And we saw them, they build Murtala Mohammed Airport, build that port in Lagos without spending billions. But nowadays, when they build an airport in Kaduna, they will tell you trillions of naira. So you talk of constitution, changing this constitution, do you think it will just be business as usual if we change the constitution? Because for me, Nigeria don't need a tough leader, a leader that have iron fist that rule Nigeria. We just need to work with what we call the institutions are there. If you play by the rules, I think the leader there should not be a strong leader to rule Nigeria. Hence, you play with the rules. I go there today as a minister. I know my role there, Minister of Work, is to build rules. You understand? So there is nothing like having
changing the constitution. If they change the constitution in Nigeria today, I think it's just a business as usual. Then also we are the victims, and we have to blame ourselves, we Nigerians, because we've been pushed to the walls. They pushed the Burkinabe to the walls. Then the Burkinabe decided to push the politicians to the sea by going to the house there and say, "Vacate from this place. We don't need you again." So we Nigerians cannot team up like the way the Burkinabe did to push them to the sea and say we bring a fresh government, and now the Burkinabes are enjoying. So we Nigerians have to ourselves to be blamed, and now they are hitting on our heads because we failed to team up.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Usman. Let me add this one up. Let me just add this one. Hello, good morning.
Sorry, brother.
Good morning.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Okay. My take on this matter is that if we are going to see our constitution at all, if we must amend it at all, the only clause needs to be removed is immunity clause, which has beaten some of our corrupt leaders to suffer with our money. Under the guise of the fact that they cannot be proved while in office. I believe that by the time they finish their tenure in office, they will start from Nigeria, and then that's the end of it. So the only thing we need is that to restructure our leadership at all levels.
Okay.
Our constitution is perfect. The constitution is okay. The only area is the immunity clause which we need to remove.
Okay.
I think that might take this point.
All right. Thank you. All right. Quickly, Sammy.
Yeah, I don't think the constitution is perfect because no constitution is ever perfect. Even the American Constitution is being revised all the time, you know, even though it's a very short one, but they keep on looking at it. And the electoral process has thrown up a whole lot of contradictory issues in the Constitution. Like if a guy wins an election and dies, what do you do? And so on and so forth. There are lots of issues that have come up that are not captured by the Constitution. That's part of the reason it's important to revisit it and see that it is comprehensive enough to, capture every aspect of our lives and well-being in the country. Don't forget that the Constitution is the law of the land. It's the law. No matter what the judges and the magistrates and the Supreme Court, whatever they say, they must also always refer to the Constitution because the law is predicated on the Constitution. So the way it is now, there are so many lacunas, and those lacunas need to be addressed. And that is the reason it is important to revisit. It doesn't mean we're going to throw away the Constitution entirely, but there are aspects of it that can be amended, to reflect our present circumstances. Now, on the issue of the pensioners, I think it's a very criminal offense for pensioners and workers not to be paid. It is criminal, and there's no justification for it. Even in the Bible and the Quran, they say the laborer must be paid his wages. So I don't see any reason why anything could be happening where people are enjoying, and then those who have served the country and those who are still serving the country cannot be paid their emolument. It's unfair. And I think that the moment we address this, that will show, that how much concern we have for our citizens, and particularly our elderly citizens. Because elsewhere in the world, the senior citizens get all kinds of services, social services free of charge. But here to pay them their pension is a huge issue. And I think it's not just right to do that. And that brings us to the issue of government subsidizing or advancing states' money to pay salaries. That should not be. How long can we continue to do that in terms of giving the states money to pay? That means that the states have to be running cap in hand to the federal government every time to go and pick up money. And these monies are just wasted. Some of them, the governors, some of them waste this money. And you pay salaries. And even then, the salaries are not enough for the people. You can imagine when you're talking about what you call it, minimum wage of 19,000 naira. What is that a worker who has 4 children in school and so on and so forth? Who will pay the new tariff in electricity? Who will buy the fuel at a new price? Who will go to the market and all the prices are increased because of the dollar and naira exchange? And so on and so on. And the salaries are not increasing. We forget that when we pay workers very well, the workers plow back this money into the system, and it helps to generate and revitalize the economy. So paying workers good wage doesn't necessarily, there's nothing wrong with it, but rather it helps to boost and make the economy boom.
And on that note, I'd like to close it up today on the program Issues and Events. And I'd like to thank our guest this morning, Sammy Ejirika. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
All right. Issues and Events this morning with Sammy Ejirika, a peace building consultant. On the
Well, after 16 years or 17 years of uninterrupted democracy, I think it's about time that Nigerians begin to strive, to overcome anything that might stand in the way of growing democracy.
Well, I take it that she spoke for both of us.
All right. And on that note, to everyone out there, good morning. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same station.
Issue.